I think that Minecraft is a game with a lot of intrinsic value hidden within. You know, you can pretty much do basically anything, whether it be making long-standing survival worlds and then dying in those survival worlds, or making big buildings using nothing but your imagination. Even on the multiplayer side, it feels like there are so many ways to fight for glory among other people. And today we're going to be playing probably the most infamous of them all. Welcome gents back to another video. I figured I'd play something way more low quality so I didn't have as much to edit. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to play this. You know, despite what I've let on, you know, despite the information that I've informed my YouTube channel, I don't play Minecraft much anymore, you know. And if you had looked at my Hypixel like playtime hours, you know, 2,700 hours on Skyblock and like maybe 700 on another different profile, totaling to like 3,400 hours, possibly more across all different, like upwards of probably like 5,000 hours on Minecraft. I don't really play that much Minecraft anymore, and I only play like Hypixel around the seasonal times because, you know, they have the good seasonal modes. And yeah, I just figured I'd return to Hypixel. The finals week is finally over with, and it is good to be back, I can say. Not that, you know, not that my college setup is any worse than my setup back home, you know, it's just like, it's the same PC. You know, only the difference is, and I've been wanting to get this maintenance for a while now, is that my Ethernet at college is currently broken. Now, as much as I need to get this maintenance, I've obviously, you know, procrastinated getting it put in because, you know, why would I maintenance my Ethernet? The maintenance staff probably have better things to do, but also I don't think it's like allowed, you know. But it is good to be back. I had my last final I think a couple of days ago as of recording this video, and I had my calc final and I had it at 7:30 in the AM. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking like, oh, that sounds bad, you know. It's like geez dude, that's an early final. But you know, surely you made informed decisions, you know, that would lead you to still be able to be kind of functioning for this exam. And to that I say absolutely not, dude. I went to bed. I got about maybe a good hour of sleep, you know, like the most important test of the entire year, you know, worth 20% of my final grade, even though I was very much not worried about that at this point in the semester. But I got about a good hour of sleep, you know, and you'd think that hour of sleep was because, you know, I did such rampant studying, you know. I had to have just done so much work at that point. I just had to have been doing so much work that it just led me to getting no sleep, you know. That's surely that was the reasoning for you know, my lack of sleep. And to that I say no. I spent about till 4:30 in the AM playing Geometry Dash and procrastinating on my work, and at 4:30 I decided, you know, might as well take the practice exam, you know. And by the time I got done with it, it was about 6:30 in the AM, and I'm looking at it thinking, I gotta wake up for this exam in less than 1 hour. I haven't had sleep like all day. I mean, I think I'm relatively cooked here speaking. No, I'm going to lose, dude. I need first. No, I'm just kidding. First is the worst, second is the best, you know. Though I get 2 pity gifts, you know. But I'm looking at the clock and it says 6:30 and I know I have to be up in 45 minutes. And I'm really debating actually going to bed that night because I'm gonna be honest, part of me was thinking, you know what, let me just pull an all-nighter, you know. It's not gonna be too big of a deal. When I get back from the exam, I can crash before I have to go moving back home the literal, like, the day of. But in the end, I decided to try and get a little bit of sleep. Even if it wasn't much, it was gonna be some sleep, and that's, you know, it's always, in my opinion, it's always better than none. Because the psychology behind it is like, you know, if your brain gets like some sleep, you know, like half resets, it's not ideal, you know. You don't have like, you don't get like your full 8 hours of sleep reset that your brain normally likes. But you know, if you were in my situation, man, you take what you can get. And the best analogy I have for this can actually be attributed to, if I get like 50 attempts in on a level in Geometry Dash, I physically start to see myself like get lobotomized. And I know that sounds weird, like what are you like trading, what are you talking about? But I think that's the best way I can explain it truly, because after about 24 hours of having no sleep, weird things start to happen to the mind. You physically feel yourself like drained, even though you don't like really feel too tired physically. You might like feel mentally drained, and that starts to do weird things to the brain, man. You gotta like be careful with that. Great neuroscience studies have covered this exact problem with people not getting enough sleep, and it is a problem for your brain. So I decided to get about 45 minutes of sleep. You know, I set an alarm I set a lot of alarms actually to make sure I got up in time for my exam. And you know, I made it to my exam, you know, and I did that exam in about half the allotted time, and then I walked out of there and I was like, man, thank God that's over, but I'm gonna go take a nap. So I went home and I took a nap and I slept for about 3 hours, and you know, that was my finals week. That was my tale of why to never get too little sleep for any given test, you know. If this was a class that I struggled in way more egregiously, I'd be telling a way different story. I'd probably be failing the class. So I tell you this to get your sleep because you do in fact need it. It is not optional. Let me see if I can get up here before, I got about 40 seconds left and I need to break into this iron house. Ooh. Many gifts. Dude, I'm so close to beating this dude. Wait, I can't get out. I've been getting a lot of gambling ad in my feed recently, and I think that's a, you know, it's trying to draw me back. Because I used to be a actually not avid, but pretty like haha funny like sports gambler, you know. And you think it's fun when, you know, you're just like betting pretend money on random people's props. It'll be way worse when you're betting real life money, to which I've not. But to put into perspective that gambling is a flawed industry, like in sports leagues, you know, like they, as much as they promote gambling to their watchers, to their viewership basis, you look at like the players who have gotten accused even of gambling and they get straight smitten by their leagues. They're just like dead. You find them in a river like 5 weeks, like 4 weeks after the incident. So I really don't know why these like gambling companies love to just advertise and advertise like, you know, this isn't just malpractice. But at the end of the day, they do make money from it. So who am I to tell them what to do? Third, I'm falling off. But yeah, it's been tough otherwise because, like, you know, I don't have a meal plan with the university, you know, anymore. I kind of just buy food for myself now, which buy food is a very loose term, you know. I maybe get groceries, I get some scraps that I need. Sandwiches are my best friend, and you know, I barely know how to cook eggs. But you know what, man, I'm just fine with that, you know, I'm just fine with that. You get maybe some nutritional value out of eating only sandwiches, and they're pretty customizable, you know. You can make like peanut butter sandwiches, you can make ham and cheese sandwiches, you can make like any other kind of spread sandwiches. Like if you wanted just a mayonnaise sandwich, you can just make a mayonnaise sandwich and nobody's here to stop you. But yeah, I basically just get snacks, and then like I occasionally cook for myself, and then like, you know, I'll be a man and admit I eat out like maybe about half the time. You know, not the healthiest for you, but come on, what are you gonna do? Modern day, learn how to cook? Nah, absolutely not. But yeah, I have the next month to myself off, which is amazing. You know, I get to experience great homemade cooking for once. But yeah, man, it's kind of just the struggle of like, I've been scrambling around during finals week the entire time, and then now that I'm done, you know, I don't really know what to do. I have too much free time. Like, help me, I don't know what to do with all this free time. And you could argue that I should spend that free time maybe looking for some internships. You know, I am like a sophomore. That is around when you kind of need to start looking for those things. But nah, I'll probably just be hanging out. You know, won't change the fact, you know, that I'm still unemployed at heart, and that is a W. First one. That'll do it for this video, gents. You see, I'm doing the Minecraft YouTuber thing where they, in their outro, they hold F1 and then they zoom in occasionally to, you know, create a dramatic, you know, effect upon which they can narrate their outros and narrative sequences. The next video will be soon. I'm gonna crank it into high gear, you know, to avoid laziness and other things. This is kind of an early Christmas special too, you know. I'm like gonna be, you know, actually like doing things during Christmas, like spending time with my family, so I can't, you know, I either need to have something prepared rapidly in advance, or, you know, just, you know, play something early, upload something early. That works, you know, that's fine. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.